It was supposed to be a simple weekend trip. 4 of us, me, my cousin Ryan, his girlfriend Mia, and our buddy Alex, decided to camp near Lake Afton, a quiet forest preserve deep in Kansas. Friday evening, the air smelled like pine and rain. The lake reflected the dying orange sky. Everything felt calm, almost cinematic, until it didn't. If I hadn't found that voicemail the next morning, I would have believed we never went camping at all. That's how I start telling this story. Because by sunrise, our entire campsite was gone, like it had been erased from the map. We parked at a dirt trail about 2 miles from the lake. The ranger booth was empty, but a handwritten note on the door read, "Area closed after dusk, wildlife monitoring." Ryan laughed, saying it was probably for hunters, so we went anyway. The deeper we hiked, the quieter the forest got. No birds, no insects, just wind. Alex joked that the trees looked too perfect, all spaced evenly like someone had planted them in rows. Mia took a few photos on her phone, the last normal pictures we'd have that weekend. By dusk, we pitched our tents near the lake edge. Ryan started a fire while I unpacked food. We played cards, talked about college, nothing strange. Then, around 11 p.m., we heard screaming. It wasn't close, maybe a mile away, but it echoed across the water. It sounded like a woman shouting one word, "Stop!" Mia froze. Alex grabbed his flashlight and shined it toward the woods. Only fog and pine trunks. Ryan said, "Probably kids messing around." But the weird part was, the echo didn't fade. It looped, like the forest was replaying it over and over. After that, none of us slept well. Next morning, I checked my phone. No signal, of course, but there was a new voicemail. Timestamp, 3:07 a.m., no number. When I played it, I heard my own voice whisper, "Don't go into the lake." I swear, Mark, it was my voice. Same tone, same breath pattern. The others thought I was joking until I replayed it. Then Alex turned pale and said, "You were snoring in your tent all night, dude." I tried to laugh it off, but the more I listened, the more wrong it felt, like it wasn't a warning, but a recording from the future. We almost left that afternoon, but the road back was too muddy from last night's rain, so we stayed. Around 9 p.m., Ryan went to wash dishes by the lake. He never came back. We called his name for hours. His flashlight was lying on the shore, beam pointing into the water. No footprints, no ripples, just silence. Mia broke down crying. Alex grabbed his car keys, yelling that we should hike back to the truck right now. I agreed, but when we turned around, there was another campsite just a few feet from ours. Same tents, same fire pit, same cooler. Even our backpacks were there, but zipped closed and spotless, as if they'd never been touched. Mia whispered, "Is someone copying us?" Alex lifted the tent flap and froze. Inside was Ryan, sleeping, but when Alex shook him, the body collapsed like dust. The whole tent deflated, and the copy vanished into smoke. We ran through the forest. The fog got thicker, almost like it was alive, pulsing with light. Mia screamed that something was following us, but I couldn't see it. Every time we tried to head north, our compasses spun. Finally, we spotted a ranger tower. The ladder was missing, but a window halfway up glowed faintly. I climbed using broken planks, and when I peeked inside, I saw us. 4 figures sitting by the lake, laughing. Same clothes, same gestures, like a recording from yesterday. Then one of them, the copy of me, turned toward the window and smiled. When I jumped back down, Mia and Alex were gone. I called their names until my throat bled. Only echo, only forest. Then, out of nowhere, I heard static, my phone again. It showed one new voicemail, same timestamp, 3:07 a.m. This time it said, "You shouldn't have watched," and then darkness. When I woke up, I was sitting beside the lake, alone. No tents, no backpacks, no footprints. Even the fire pit was gone. A ranger found me hours later on the main road. dehydrated and shivering. He said the area had been closed since 1984, after 3 campers went missing. Their names? Ryan, Mia, and Alex. I showed him my phone. The battery was dead, but when he plugged it in back at the station, there was one audio file left. A voicemail. Timestamp 3:07 a.m. The recording played all 4 of our voices whispering in unison, "Don't go into the lake." And then, a splash. The ranger deleted it immediately. He said, "Son, sometimes the forest gives back what it takes, but only in echoes." I never went camping again, but every year around the same weekend, I still get that same voicemail, same timestamp, and every time I press play, the background water sounds closer. If you ever go camping in northern Montana near Glacier National Park, stay away from Trail 19. That's where I met the man who claimed to be a park ranger, but wasn't. It was late August. Me and my younger brother Jake wanted one last summer trip before he moved to Seattle. We planned 2 nights out by Crystal Creek, a quiet campground surrounded by pine and mountain fog. The ranger station was closed when we arrived, but there was a sign-in board outside. Only one other name on it, Ranger E. Keller. We assumed he was on night patrol. By sunset, the sky burned red. Coyotes howled far off. Everything looked like a postcard. Then, just as the sun dipped, someone whistled. A tall man stepped out from the tree line. Green uniform, dusty hat, old-style park badge. He waved politely and said, "Evening, fellas. Campsites get weird this time of year." He spoke slowly, like every word weighed something. We joked a bit, and he helped us start our fire. His name was Keller, but the weird thing was, he didn't have a flashlight, radio, or truck. He carried a lantern, the old kerosene type that hissed and flickered. When Jake asked where his truck was, Keller smiled. "Up the road, same as always. You'll see it if the fog's kind." Then he just walked back into the woods. Around midnight, I woke up to whispering. At first, I thought Jake was talking in his sleep, but his breathing was steady beside me. The voices came from outside the tent, 2 of them. One sounded like Keller, the other almost like me. I unzipped the tent just enough to peek out. Nothing, only fog. Then a flashlight beam swept across our campsite, but we didn't have one that bright. And with every pass, the shadows behind the trees looked like they were moving toward us. Next morning, Jake was convinced Keller had come back to check on us. But our cooler had been moved, and all the food inside was frozen solid, like it had been left in a deep freezer overnight. Even the soda cans had ice in them. That shouldn't be possible. It was 65 degrees out. Then we heard static. Jake found my portable radio blinking, though it had been dead for months. It clicked on by itself and played an old emergency broadcast message. "This is Ranger Keller. If you're hearing this, leave Trail 19. Do not trust the one carrying the lantern." Then the radio fried, smoke curling from the battery slot. We decided to pack up at dawn, but before sleeping, we saw the lantern again, glowing through the trees. Jake whispered, "He's back." Keller stepped into the clearing, same calm smile, same uniform, except this time his badge was rusted black and his face looked wrong, too pale, too stiff. He spoke the same line, word for word as before. "Evening, fellas. Campsites get weird this time of year." Jake said, "You already told us that." Keller tilted his head. "Did I?" Then the lantern went out. When it flickered back on a second later, he was right behind Jake. I grabbed the flare gun from our pack and fired into the air, blinding light everywhere. When the smoke cleared, Keller was gone. We hiked out at sunrise, half running the whole way. The official ranger station was 10 miles north. When we got there, an older woman behind the counter looked startled. I told her everything: the uniform, the badge, the lantern, the name Keller. She stared at me for a long time before saying, "Son, Ranger E. Keller went missing in 1997. He was found a week later near Crystal Creek, died of exposure." She opened a folder and showed me his photo. Same man, same smile. We drove home that day, both of us silent. But the story doesn't end there. 3 days later, Jake texted me a picture from his garage. It showed our camping gear, and sitting on top of the cooler was a kerosene lantern, still half full, with a faint orange glow inside. He swore he didn't bring it home. I thought it was a prank until he called me that night, whispering, "It's lit again. I didn't touch it." The call ended with a burst of static, same as the radio in the woods. Last month, 7 years later, I went back to Glacier for closure. Trail 19 was blocked by fallen trees, but there were still footprints in the mud. Fresh ones. Halfway up the trail, I found a wooden marker. E. Keller, Ranger, 1981-1997. Someone had left a lantern beside it. The glass was cracked, and inside the soot, I could see 4 fingerprints, like someone tried to claw their way out. When I walked away, the lantern flickered back to life, and through the static of the wind, I heard a voice whisper my name. Not Keller's voice this time. It was Jake's. Evening, fellas. Campsites get weird this time of year. We set up camp deep in Oregon's Mount Hood National Forest, about 5 miles off the main trail. There were 3 of us, me, my friend Lucas, and his sister Emily. We'd gone camping a dozen times before, but this trip felt different right from the start. The air was heavy, like the forest was holding its breath. The trees were enormous, hundreds of years old, their roots twisting through the earth like veins. Even the birds were silent. It wasn't peace. It was the kind of quiet that makes your ears ring. We found a small clearing and pitched 2 tents. By evening, mist rolled in from the valley. Lucas started the fire while I unpacked, and Emily went to fill our bottles at a nearby stream. She came back 10 minutes later, pale and shaking. She said she'd heard someone breathing behind her, slow and deep, like a person standing inches from her ear. But when she turned around, no one was there, just trees and fog. Lucas brushed it off. "Probably wind through the trees," he said. But that night we realized there was no wind. Not a single leaf moved. Around midnight, the fire had burned low. I was lying in my tent, half awake when I heard it, that same breathing Emily talked about. Inhale, exhale, deep, rhythmic, like something enormous, asleep beneath the ground. I thought it was my imagination until I saw the dirt beside my sleeping bag rise and fall, ever so slightly, in time with the sound. I held my breath and watched. The earth moved again. Then, a whisper, low, almost human, slid through the tent fabric. "You shouldn't have come here." I shot upright. Lucas unzipped his tent next to mine, flashlight shaking in his hand. He'd heard it too. We scanned the woods. Fog swallowed the beam after a few feet. The sound stopped. Then, faintly, we heard Emily scream. We ran toward her voice, crashing through the brush. She was standing by the stream, barefoot, staring at the water. Her face was blank, like she was sleepwalking. When we reached her, she didn't react, just kept whispering something over and over. Lucas shook her shoulders. That's when we heard the water behind us bubble, though it wasn't boiling. It was breathing. The surface pulsed in and out, forming little waves that matched the rhythm we'd heard before. Then the voice came again, this time from under the water. 1, 2, 3. The current went still. Emily blinked, gasped, and collapsed in Lucas's arms. When she woke up, she didn't remember any of it. The next morning, the forest smelled strange, sweet, like rotting fruit. There were hand-shaped prints in the dew all around our camp, pressed deep into the grass, too long to be human. Lucas wanted to leave immediately, but our GPS wouldn't connect, and every direction looked the same. We followed the stream downstream, hoping it would lead back to the main trail. After about half an hour, we came across an abandoned tent, old, shredded, covered in moss. Inside were rusted pots, a torn sleeping bag, and a Polaroid photo pinned to the canvas wall. The photo showed 3 people standing exactly where we were. Same stream, same tree in the background. One of them looked exactly like Emily. We dropped it and kept walking. By evening, the fog thickened into a white wall. It felt like the forest was closing in. Every sound came back doubled, like there were 2 forests overlapping, one real, one reflection. We finally found a small ridge and decided to rest. Lucas went to gather wood while Emily sat next to me, silent. She kept glancing over her shoulder, asking if I could see it too. When I asked what she meant, she pointed toward the trees. At first, I saw nothing. Then something moved between the trunks. Not walking, sliding. A tall, shadow-thin figure, its limbs bending wrong, like it had too many joints. We froze. The thing stopped, tilting its head. Then it inhaled, and the entire forest inhaled with it. The trees groaned, the dirt lifted, and a gust of warm air hit us that smelled like decay. It felt like the woods themselves were alive, one giant lung breathing us in. We ran without direction, tripping, falling, getting up again. Hours later, the forest finally thinned. We stumbled onto an old logging road. There was a sign half buried in moss. Forest closed. Sinkhole activity. When we reached the ranger station at dawn, the officer on duty stared at us like ghosts. He said that section of the forest had been off limits for years. The ground was unstable, full of hidden caverns. He offered to send a search team for Emily. They found nothing. No tent, no bags, no footprints. Just one thing. A patch of soil near the stream that rose and fell, as if something underneath was breathing. 2 weeks later, I developed a cough that wouldn't stop. Doctors said my lungs were clear, but I could feel something moving in my chest at night. Sometimes, when I exhale, I swear I hear the forest again. That deep, rhythmic breathing, echoing from somewhere far below my ribs. And last night I woke up gasping. Mud was on my bed sheets, under my nails. And when I stood, I heard the whisper again, faint but unmistakable, right against my ear. 1, 2, 3, under the roots. I looked down. The carpet under my feet lifted, just slightly, and breathed.